I just want to, for 1 second, if you don't mind, reduce this to the level of people. A lot of people are looking at it. This is an egg.
And 5 minutes ago, it was not in my pocket. Explain!
Did he throw it at him?
Yeah. He just went on to have a full-blown mental breakdown in front of the Prime Minister.
Conservatives have been the
And again, it's like, this is what happens in this country. In America, they assassinate people. Here, we just wipe snot on their backs. Yeah. Fundamentally, we're better people.
Although...
That looks like a Formula 1 team fixing a car, doesn't it? He's a robot and he's gone off.
Yeah, he's just shot. Can we see the picture before this?
Oh, here we are.
Is he bored by his own speech?
See, this is great.
Battering.
See,
it's all very... It's all in the name of sportsmanship.
I think
it's battering.
I think the marathon should be run like that. It shouldn't be... 26 miles is easy. You've got to fight off people like it's a knockout. Giant teddy bears come at you and hit you with sticks. A rabid dog is let loose 15 miles in.
Bob, what is the whole John Lewis thing?
Are we going on with this round?
I'm afraid we are. We're going to persevere with it because I've even got a prop.
Oh, good.
All right, yeah, you get it out.
Is it?
Yes, you get it out.
Yeah,
okay, so
that's not a prop, that's a magazine.
It's a magazine, it's a
if
John
it's
Lewis
being used
magazine.
under these circumstances, it becomes a
Do
prop.
you shop in John Lewis?
Well, you tell me.
Good God, look at that!
Don't we get a magazine? We'll make up our own magazine. Cool, look at that. Oh, blimey.
Did you get anything from the famous John Lewis list,
No.
Bob, for yourself?
No, none of us knew anything about the John Lewis list.
Is that right?
This is the best advertising John Lewis has ever had. This is prime-time television, a man reading a catalogue.
Are we allowed to bring our own books during the show to pass the time? To pass the time? Are we allowed to do that next week?
Hey, seriously, what were you going to do with the catalogue? What were you going to do with it?
I was going to flick through it and say, Bob, have you bought anything from this fucking catalogue?
I thought it was a furniture catalogue.
Henry sometimes accompanies celebrities to... I'll start that again. Not that it matters, because this whole lot's gone, I promise you.
The trouble is, it's the best bit of the show. That's the trouble, it's the best bit. They'll keep all this, everything else will go.
Henry...
The eye cake shock gland was throbbing.
It takes some...
Is that a typo?
yeah.
Eye cake?
I think
It's like eye candy, except not as good.
Oh, I
Looks
thought
like
it was
the
some sort of
journalist
new
was on
kind of
radio.
cake that played sort of tunes. The eye cake.
This is an underpant question, because the Maasai warriors...
Don't wear them.
Is that right?
When they become warriors, then they take off their pants.
I become a warrior every
And
night. Most nights.
And then in the morning, you're not a warrior again.
Not a warrior anymore, no. Well, you know, first half hour.
You have to kill a lion as well.
God, don't tell
Two
me
things
about
you
it.
have to do: take your pants off, take your pants off, and kill a lion, and then that's fine. Then you're a man.
Yeah.
And
Well, the extra thing, you've actually got to put your pants on a lion. That's the real test of manhood.
That was the old test.
Oh, they've changed
Before,
it.
yeah.
I don't tell you anything.
It's regulations.
That's the-
Health and safety.
Yeah.
So Paul was right.
Yes
Gosh,
and
that's
no.
irritating.
I've said both options, so we can edit around it whichever way.
But our answer was a better answer, wasn't it?
Right, we can get on with it now, can't we? Now everyone's got their property back.
I've been inside a Maasai hut.
Have you?
Yeah, I got offered blood.
Good, was it?
I didn't drink the blood.
No.
I came over a bit English. I said, oh, that looks lovely, that blood, but I've just eaten, so... Well, I won't have the blood, thank you.
Spitting vicar told to what?
Baptise children properly.
Bow-legged burglar, what?
Couldn't stop a pig in a passage.
Would you like to play a game called Pop to the Shops?
Pop to the shops.
Yes.
I like the title already. Pop to the shops, pop to the shops, pop to the shops.
Well, it
that's
goes...
blankety blank, isn't it?
OK.
Got the tunes
Are we
for it,
actually doing this now?
We don't get to do it now. It's just a bit of fun.
Right.
Here's the first question.
OK.
Is this supermarket sweep for idiots?
Supermarket sweep for idiots? Who do you think it's aimed for at the moment? Professors of history?
At the moment?
Is this the same programme, or are we now doing a different programme?
I wouldn't question it. We're going somewhere really exciting. Away from politics, we're popping down the shops. Oh. Excellent. Excellent, yeah.
This is real issues for real people, Andrew. It's not the Westminster Club. This is politics in the raw with Julian Clary.
Shouldn't we have called this All Over the Shops?
Yeah.
I popped
Is
to
this
the
the working
shops.
title? You've popped to the shops, OK.
Yes. I popped to the shops, this time at Sainsbury's.
Oh, really?
What other prominent figure has revealed his own long-standing health issues this week?
Oh, it must be John Prescott, presumably. Talking about being bulimic.
Because everyone's saying it's very bad taste to bring up the fact that... Prescott, no, and there's this sort of general feel in the media. Well, it's very brave of him. Very brave of John to reveal it now, just as his memoirs are coming out. And they're jolly boring. And the only thing we want to read about in them is the affair with the secretary, which he's not going to talk about. So he's going to distract our attention by talking about stuffing something else. So,
He could have mentioned it while he was in office. It probably could have helped for political capital, at least a bit of sympathy, or at least sort of say, well, I had to get a second jag I'd thrown up in the first one, you know.
he said, oh, isn't it good of Pauline to stand by me? So, my wife got me through it, did she? Well, you showed your gratitude then. I don't want to come over as callous.
Too late. Do Edith Piaf instead.
No.
What is the other crisis the government are trying to avert?
I know the BBC's jolly worried about balance because the mayoral election's coming up. Vote Boris.
I'm sure you don't have to remind him, he will. He might forget.
You've got to remind him who to vote for.
He's had it, he wants it, and so does he. Tonight, the three leading contenders to be Mayor of London battle it out in live debate.
I'm very happy to say that I've run extremely effectively a private sector organisation, unlike either of the gentlemen on my right, and indeed I think I'm the only candidate at this election who's had any experience of holding down costs in the private sector.
And I think you boasted on the Today programme that you used to manage 20 people.
It's actually a few more than that. And
How many
at least 50 people we had on the spectrum.
At least 50.
We had I'm very proud to say that we increased our circulation, we increased our profits.
I'm not surprised, given the stories that came out. Nowhere else in the world has there been a 5% shift from cars to public transport. We're carrying 50% more people on buses.
That was great.
Not sure about the casting, though.
You haven't got any marks yet on your side.
No.
You've got 2.
Now, can I just point out we haven't had a question yet?
Who else had a McMakeover recently?
Who else had a McMakeover? McDonald's. Was the clue in the McMuck bit there?
Bruce Oldfield designed them a new uniform.
Did he?
Right.
Yes.
Gosh, do they work in McDonald's?
Are those uniforms magnetic? Is that the only drawback?
Don't be silly. Would you like some more rebranding news?
No. Yes, I'd love to hear more.
Who or what has spent £100,000 on a makeover?
I have.
Get your money back.
That's a Chinook that could be flying to Iraq or Afghanistan, but it isn't. It's going to a stag do on the bloody Isle of Wight. We're going to pick up Ronnie Ricketson Smythe and then drop in on Emma's house. Bloody funny. Buzz her dad. Then we'll all get completely smashed and someone else can drive the bloody thing home.
According to The Sun, William was spotted on a bender in a pub in Cowes on the first...
Whoa.
Oh, we're back on territory Julian's more familiar with here.
He was spotted on a bender.
Yeah. What had happened to him? What did his pals give him?
Chinese burn.
A killer wedgie.
A killer? What's that, he rips out your liver? I mean,
I didn't know this either, but apparently it's where you pulled someone's trousers up very roughly.
Oh, you're not used to pulling anybody's trousers up, then?
Does anyone know what the Lord Mayor of Belfast, Jim Rogers, has been up to?
Has he dressed as a giant turnip and wandered around the street saying, vote for me?
Well...
That was Boris.
Am I right?
Dressing up as a vegetable is involved. Well, I'll tell you, whilst launching the Garden Gourmet Food Festival, he decided to try to leapfrog over a lady who was dressed as a giant tomato. Should we have a look?
Yes, please.
He's looking very confident.
Yeah. And we thought the troubles were over in Belfast.
She's looking confident.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, dear. She was off work for several weeks, leaving the people of Belfast with absolutely no one dressed as a giant tomato to leap over. All misled people about trips abroad, apart from Elvis Presley, although it emerged this week that he'd secretly visited England in 1958.
No, that wasn't true. It's all made up.
How do you know he did?
Because Elvis Presley in 1958 was one of the most famous people in the world. He landed briefly at a Scottish airport to fly on to America from West Germany. If he'd travelled from Scotland to London and had driven round in a car with Tommy Steele in London, then gone back to Scotland, everybody would have known about it.
Yes, but Tommy Steele this week told the Mail, I swore never to divulge publicly what took place, and I regret it's found some way of getting into the light.
Because it never happened.
I can only hope he can forgive me. No one's told him he's dead.
No. If Elvis Presley had come to London, we would have known about it when he'd done it.
Well, he could have worn a moustache and a hat.
Oh, that would throw off the world's press, wouldn't it? I think it's Hercule Poirot's come to London.
Should remember something for the towels and all this, isn't it?
Well, it's Hercule Poirot, hello. I like all your books.
I think things can be done in secret.
Uncanny.
They've all lied about trips abroad except Elvis Presley, who came secretly to England.
He didn't. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. He's never
You're
been
so
to England.
sure. Why don't you want him to have come to England?
Well, no, I'd love him to come to England. I'd love him to come to London.
Princess Diana used to go to the pictures and things. She was a very famous woman.
Donald Duck used to go for a swim. It's got nothing to do with Elvis Presley going to London. I'm not denying that other people have gone to London. It's a big place. You see dozens of people walking around if you stand there long enough. Dozens of them.
But not Elvis.
Not Elvis.
I'm looking for Mr. Tommy Steele. I left him out here in 1958.
Yeah, it's like old nonsense. Little white ball, it's a load of old nonsense.
We have no reason to believe Tommy Steele lied about this.
He went round London, he met the Queen. The Queen said, tell me, do you actually have a wooden heart?
I got a wooden heart, man. My kidney's made out of plastic.
Gummy bears are German. There you go.
Gummy bear.
German.
Yes, but there's two people saying two different things.
That's because one's from Hamburg and one's from Bavaria.
I see.
Sounds
Also, it's a very obvious expertise. It's called in German Gummy Bären. What's it in French? Gummy Bären.
Is that how it works?
Because all of them spoke English in very silly German accents.
What, the pigs?
Yeah.
We do not want to be a pig, but what can we do? We are so good meat, ham, sausage, bacon. Why cannot be a chicken with the egg? But no, it's always with the sausage.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Be Improvement magazine. Inside, you'll find a free CD featuring Sting.
Somebody needs to send somebody a copy of Joke Improvement magazine.
Oh, this is only light entertainment, isn't it? It's
I know, but it's... You do it so well.
Start the car.
Do I hear
Next
wedding bells?
one is-
Do I hear wedding bells?
MP
Do I hear wedding
euphoric.
bells?
No, you don't.
I can hear them.
Did you see Boris was questioned on one of those things? Someone said to him, have you ever had sex with a man? And he was trying to think how tactfully to answer it, and he said, not yet. That's the sort of mayor you want. If you want that sort of mayor, obviously. If you want another sort, you vote for one of the other candidates.
Remember, mayors can go up or down.
Down.
Depending on...
Particularly Boris.
Yes.
More up and down in
Exactly.
his case.
How old were you, Ian, when that was taken?
It does look like I've just been replaced by a phone.
That was Series 1, 1959.
Well, that was just the year after Elvis came.
Yeah. He was the first host.
Oh, okay, which one? There's one someone else, so you can do.
Now, in the news this week, the polls continue to slide for Gordon Brown, and some people are saying he's dead and buried. But I think the opposite. I say, Gordon's alive! My darlings! And disaster strikes at an open-air pool in Dorset as the attendant starts hoovering the leaves before the last swimmer is out. Fuck.
Right, calm down.
Quick, the fucking
taser! Get a taser!
The fucking thing was too slow. I'm fucking trying.
Get a taser!
Okay, the fucking thing was... Here we go. I mean, this is Gordon Brown's worst week in politics since last week. So this week, Brown has been...
It's good.
Hello,
It's good.
Paul.
Carry on, it's
I'm
wonderful.
I'm big fan.
Rave reviews, rave reviews.
Shut your face.
Thank you.
What were some of the other revelations in the book? I'm going to chin you if you don't watch it.
But surely it's quite interesting if Peter Mandelson is spreading rumours that Gordon Brown is gay. Is that not of interest?
So, you're supposed to be on my side.
What gave you that impression?
Well, we let them be nasty to each other. But in the Conservative Party, we all love each other.
Right.
I mean, not like that, but you know what I mean.
Well, a bit like that. I mean, it's a new Liberal Tory party, isn't it?
No, just me.
I suppose you are the only gay Tory, aren't you?
Actually, there
Are you gay?
Brian, you'd never guess you were an actor.
What might have wiped the smile off his face?
It might be Mayor Bojo, even as we speak.
Bojo?
When you've got initials like that, you can't use them on their own.
Sorry. Oh, yeah!
Very important.
Boris was a prefect at Eton, though, wasn't he?
Yes.
That's why he was no good at the basketball thing, because he's only ever played that game with a third former's head.
Yeah. It's just a disaster, isn't it? He's going to go off and do something surprising and extraordinary, and people are going to go, oh, no, he's a fucking idiot.
Now, this week... I get terrible wind. This is the shocking news that immigrants are now emigrating. Now, who said... but who says so?
The IPPR, which is a Labour think tank.
God, you are brilliant.
IPPR?
So now our plumbers won't be able to speak English anymore?
Well, I'm not sure they ever really could, but...
that was the joke.
Yeah, oh, it's... Yeah.
Could you give us a verbal signal when you've done it?
Like this. Bloody hell, my job's impossible.
No, it's just the way you're doing it.
I know, I'm doing that. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here.
Do you know, I was thinking exactly the same. You're doing all right.
I'm doing all right. How many marks out of 10? Don't tell me the truth. I don't want the truth.
8.
8.
Can I just say, darling, you were very brave.
Stop it. Sorry. Very good eyesight, the Poles, aren't they?
Excellent eyesight. They're known for
I mean, well, considering they're at it all the time. No, that's deafness. You get deaf, don't you, if you shag too much.
2:30.
2:30. Now, who's been refused entry to Britain this week? Who's been refused entry to Britain this week?
Cleric.
What the fuck's happened to you? You faded since the beginning.
I'm so sorry.
You're doing fuck all at the moment. Shall I tell you?
Yes.
You don't know, do you?
No.
Right. No. I love it with these eggheads when I win.
You're the chairman, you're not meant to win.
I'm not meant to win.
You've got the
I
answers.
don't get any points.
No.
Don't I say to
That
you...
would
you-
rather ruin the quiz, since you're reading out the question and
Don't-
answer.
But don't I say, I mean, you may not confer? Did I say that? No, I don't know that.
No, you can say anything you like, and have, I think.
Well, here's the information.
OK, give us a clue.
I'm not going to give you nothing. Osama bin Laden's son, Dave.
Dave?
No. I knew you'd fall for that! No, it's not Dave, it's Omar.
Omar, he's making eyes at me.
What's his argument for being let in?
That it's not his fault who his father is.
That's right, you're absolutely spot on. He doesn't think his dad's done anything wrong. You're quite right, Ian.
No, I'm not. I didn't say that at all. I said it's not his fault who his father is. I didn't say his father's done nothing wrong. That would have lined me up in a rather extreme company.
She told the News of the World Richard is average in bed. I think we'd all be pleased with that. I know I would. But I don't need that pill. I don't need the blue pill. No. Any bird
How do we
watching...
get out of here? How do we get out?
What about the pink pill that says tranquilizer?
Ian and Alan...
Horse dosage.
Have you always been shy?
Yes, I have. Yes, I didn't know what was going to happen tonight. I was going to be very serious, you know. But there it is. I mean, something happens. It's this chair. You see, this is the chair that Anne Whitcomb sat on, isn't it? And you can feel the vibrations going up my arse. I also have to say, Paul.
Yes.
that I was very jealous because you said, because I rather fancied you myself, and I was astonished to hear that you said you'd fallen in love with Anne on that programme.
Did I?
You did, you said you loved her. I mean, I just was hoping you might say something like that to me.
Well, if I said it to Anne Widdecombe, the chances are I'll say it to you as well. There's no worries about that. No worries.
Now, you worked for that bloke who got put in prison, didn't you?
Never ended up in prison.
Didn't he?
No.
No, he ran away first, didn't
Yes.
he?
I mean, who the hell do they think they are? Tesco's? I mean, every little helps. Why don't they give me that voiceover instead of...
You should record one now. I'm sure they'll hear it.
Every little helps. Now, newspapers have been doing their bit to calm motorists with headlines like, "Petrol! We're running out! Strike! Starts fuel shortage fears! Will fuel stocks run dry?" And I'm all right. According to the law of physics, force equals mass times acceleration. Or, as the Daily Star put it, for their readers, vroom! You're getting your money's worth because that's my boss Nash from Star Wars. You want to get... No end to my talents. Now...
Brian?
Yes?
What do you like when you're drunk?
The price of petrol has gone up. Crikey! And I thought Everest was steep.
You tried to climb that once, didn't you?
Were you worried about avalanches?
Yes. I'm here! Yes, they told Jack Straw it was like a holiday camp. Hi-de-hi. With drugs that cheap, they certainly were. I didn't write this. I didn't write this. I did one prisoner describe...
Did you do that in the middle of Shakespeare?
I did this. I didn't write this.
This pun's gone down badly. I didn't write it. Marry, sir, thy cop's got this too big.
I mean, there's a tremendous amount of snobbery about Shakespeare in so many aspects of it. Like when it says John Gill, to talk like that, Sir John Gill, the National Theatre. I used to goose him when I was there every day. Go down the corridors and goose the great actor, Sir John Gill. Oh, leave me alone, Brian, I'm a great actor. He said to Michael Brian, you know that Brian, blessed, he's a terrible man, but he's a lovely bit of rough. And so to round two, which this week is called A Blessed in Disguise. I'm going to disguise myself as a news story, and you have to guess what it is. What is all the fuss over Pierre the Penguin?
Oh, he's bald. Nothing wrong with that. But he's bald all over, and therefore he's very cold in the Arctic. He is, and he's been made a special suit so that he can swim happily in the Arctic.
Not
Antarctic?
Antarctic,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Not that happily, though. He's being bullied by the other ones. Looking like a twat.
They've made Pierre a wetsuit, and here it is.
Fantastic. You can go surfing now when it's really cold.
Look at them. All ganging up on him. Look, on his own. See? You go and stand over there. Freak.
Here's a blessed in disguise for you, Paul, and Marcus.
Is the new contraceptive campaign?
That would be road safety taken to a new level, wouldn't it, if Brian were a lollipop lady?
Stop! Time now for the odd one-out round.
Is it you, Brian?
So I think that they're all 80s events which are making a comeback, except for the perm. So that's the odd one out.
Absolutely marvellous, absolutely brilliant, Ian. I mean, that is sensational.
Is that right? I'm Paul.
Absolutely right. They're all making an enthusiastic comeback from the 80s, apart from Rick Astley, who is reluctant to do so.
Oh, so he was absolutely wrong.
Did you say that? Did you say that?
I picked the perm as the odd one out, but the 80s was the theme I was after. But of course, Rick Astley refuses to make a comeback, so he's the odd one out.
Oh, that's right.
This is via the internet. I know this story. I'm not going to get any points now because you've told
You're
Paul
not
the
going to get
answer.
any points. Look, but this is rather like Swampy years ago when we'll re-edit it, and then but you deserve it because your knowledge was so sensational.
Thank you very much.
And I'm very, very partial to you.
Are you?
In fact, I'm madly in love with you.
Yeah.
But there we go.
I better brace myself.
I was their priest. I shall return to them and
I like the plimsolls you were wearing.
Yes. Well,
I like the fact you've never been typecast.
I've never suffered from that. Yes,
You're going to be in the remake?
No, I'm not. No, love. I'm not in that, love. No, I'm not in that. No.
You're calling him love, too.
What? What did you say, darling?
You're too
I think you're lovely.
Thank you.
I think you're gorgeous. You're my second choice after Paul. And this is from 1986, Ian and Paul with perms. Darlings.
Paul, you look a bit like that child genius who was the
antique expert, yes.
Yeah.
Either that or Harpo Marx's mum.
And Ian, you look like a very startled King Charles Spaniel.
No, just a very startled King Charles. They're going to execute me! Why does King Charles speak like Brian Blessed? They're going to execute me!
According to the Blake 7 website, the programme was notorious for its elementary continuity errors. Not in my day. Which means at the
That's
end...
a fantastically elaborate prop
Thank you
for
very
that
much.
joke.
I spared no expense with this one. It really is. I mean,
You could be in 300.
I could. I'm too loud. I was too loud for it. I'd have scared all the Spartans. They were Nancy boys. They were puffs.
And what were you called in Z Cars?
Fancy Smith.
Does anyone remember what this programme used to be like?
But it's for fans of toilets everywhere. And let's face it, every toilet needs a fan. I know mine does.
So what do you do when you're up Mount Everest?
I was actually 3/4 away up Mount Everest at one stage, Paul.
Yeah.
I were in a tight tent at about 26,000 feet, Epperman Adams, David Hoyland and myself, and we were about to go for the summit the next day.
Yeah.
A terrible, a 4-mile drop, and suddenly David Epperman Adams said, I must have a shit. Up in this tent, you know. Christ, let him get across. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. He went out. I said, Christ, tie him on, he'll fall down the face. He got onto the rope. We tied him off. He went over there, had a shit, came back. And we're getting back into the snow's coming in good. Well, we might as well make a brew. So we made a brew of tea, all clamped together, 4 of us. And suddenly David Hoyland suddenly says to me, there's a terrible smell of shit. And I looked and there was a turd on Hepperman Adams' shoulder. And what he had done was, he'd had a shit, the wind had carried up in the air. And then, in a lull in the weather, come down and land on his shoulder.
You know, when I asked the question, I had no idea what the answer would be.
And that's the glamour of Everest. Yes. Lewis Hamilton saves £4 million a year tax by living in Switzerland. They say saves, I say avoids. I mean, God, I've been paying tax since I was 14 years of age. How the hell does he get away with that? Next. Soaring noise levels, what?
Increase whenever Brian Blessed walks into a room.
Now, campaigners are seeking to reclaim urban tranquility after a study found that city life is 10 times louder now than it was a decade ago.
Some cities.
One of... What
Wherever
the
you're
fucking do? What's going on? Where the fuck are you?
It's gone.
It's gone. Go back, love, with the fucking thing. I'm back to the fucking beginning. Where the fuck are we, darling? Go back. A bit slower, sweetheart. I think she's pissed.
On Eon... All I'm saying is, on Ian... Why couldn't he have a different name?
Can't we have Brian Blessed back? That's the next Prime Minister, and David Cameron. They lost to the Lib Dems.
Well, I know, yes.
Third, the Labour Party.
I now formally present the new Mayor of London, Boris Johnson.
I hope you didn't catch that bit.
Great thing is he started as he means to go on.
That's right, yeah.
That's what people want, though, don't they?
Yeah, they want a trip.
Yeah.
Have you been going to Glastonbury again, Ian?
Do you think Ian goes to Glastonbury?
I don't know, he might. You go down to the classical music tent, perhaps?
There's an abbey, isn't there?
Yes, there is. 3 rooms of banging Dvorak.
My 12-year-old niece made me a bet that he would win. And I said, fuck you, you 12, you don't know what you're talking about.
So what did you rashly promise?
She said, well, if I win, I get to restyle your hair.
So she said you have to look like Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, well, that's very witty.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pop, all that, and I thought, oh, that's a bit racist, isn't it? I don't know, is that racist?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it's not,
What is this, the Ask a Black Guy segment? Well, Whitey, let's just check the raceometer. Yeah, tell me about your hair.
Oh, this is not hair. This is a small animal I've trained to stay there. Not now, Lionel. Cameron, is he a fan of Boris, do you think?
I think he's ever so slightly nervous, actually. If Boris is any good, then people will say, well, look, let's have him as Prime Minister, which Boris...
It's just one of those jokes that doesn't stop.
Well, I know that when I was living in the ghettos of Deep South...
Yeah, we've all done that.
Yeah. When I was living in the ghettos of Deep South... Okay, well, I'm just gonna let the white folks talk.
That's a straightforward racist remark.
Was that racist?
As you know perfectly
I don't know.
well.
I don't know if that was racist. I guess I'll ask myself.
In North Carolina, Obama won the backing of 90% of African Americans. And is that because he's black? Or is it... He sounds Irish. You know. Barack Obama.
Oh, from Cork. His actual speech sounded Irish.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I'm going to be the next president of the United States.
Oh, they're a lovely family, little Keeley Obama and Kathleen and Declan. They're lovely fellas. I mean, he's done a lot of bad things, hasn't he, Franco? But annoying Cliff Richard, that sort of evens it out, really, doesn't it?
Friend of Hitler, congratulations, didn't win.
Cliff Richard's a friend of Hitler. That's libelous. You'll go to prison for that. I'll come and see you. Wednesdays would be good for me.
Cliff Richard made a second attempt to win the Eurovision Song Contest in oh, sorry. My phone going. I'm sorry, I do apologise.
It's Cliff Richard's lawyer.
It's Cliff Richard's lawyer.
Well, yeah, Jimmy Savile, I think they've somewhere in the north, Leeds, they started a new scheme up where teenagers are to be warned off from hanging around the public areas by the voice of Jimmy Savile. You hear this voice come out of the lamppost. Now then, pick that up. Why he doesn't sound like himself, I don't know. But that's one of the mysteries of digital recording.
Where did you get this information?
Is it not true?
Let's try and find that out.
Halfway through, I had a feeling I'd made it up.
According to the Sunday Times, Jimmy Savile was in the Middle East recording an Israeli edition of Jim Will Fix It.
So his voice doesn't come out of lampposts in Hiddenly, but he has fixed the Middle East.
It may well do.
And he said he spent Christmas with Mrs Thatcher for something like 10 years.
No, that's a long Christmas, wasn't it? Did nobody think to go outside and check what the time was? Did they not think of inviting the rest of their family, the Thatchers, or did they just wanted Jimmy Savile?
It doesn't actually say that he was invited.
No. No. Or, in fact, or indeed, he'd left after the first one. That's proving my point. He hid in Chequers. It's a big place. He was up the chimney. Every so often they lit a fire, and they just the radio was on or something, but they didn't realise he was there the whole time.
He hid in the roof for 11 years.
He befriended a barn owl called Mr Peters.
That's right. Him and Mr Peters, the barn owls.
General Franco's outside. He wants an apology.
Sorry, we've just had a bit of information. It is true about the voice of Jimmy Savile in the lamppost in Headingley. So,
Is it?
Yes. I'll give you a clue. Belgium.
Belgium.
Oh, yeah.
OK, right, OK. They're very lazy in Belgium. They eat a lot of chips, they've got no sense of smell, and they don't know who Lisa Goddard is, so she's the odd one out. No, she's not the odd one out. We established that earlier. The sense of smell is the odd one out, because it's the only one that's not there.
OK.
OK, we've got two more to guess. You go for the bottom one, I go for the top one. Chips are the odd one out.
But why?
Because they're the only ones made out of potato. Oh, no, Lisa Goddard.
Lisa Goddard!
OK, chips are the only ones that are not made out of people.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Lisa Goddard's made out of people.
Smell man made out of people.
Lisa Goddard's made out of 4 people.
4 people.
Yeah.
Product of more than one country.
Anita Harris, Tyrone Power,
Mr Peters
and Peggy Lee. Those are the 4 people she's made of, right? Chips, as Red says, are not made of people. They're the odd one out because they're not human.
They are that's not quite the reason I was looking for.
Chips are human?
Yes!
Chips are human, they're the odd one out.
Yes!
Nobody else is human, just the chips.
That's not it! What happened in Belgium recently?
Oh, they stopped calling them French fries.
Nope.
Oh.
Something happened in Belgium, a
big
momentous event. There was a big opening of a place.
Factory.
No.
A show, a town.
At something where you might see a chip.
A chip shop.
No. Bigger than a chip shop.
A potato field, a potato factory.
No, a building.
A building, a
where
huge
chips are celebrated.
Building. Chips is a big potato building.
No! Chips are celebrated.
King Edward, the building.
In all their forms.
The Chip Museum.
Yes!
Museum.
The Chip Museum!
That's right, that's right.
Is that
now
it?
give us our damn points.
Tourists to be greeted by colossal what?
Tree.
Brian Blessed at Dover. Welcome!
10p tax band thing. If you ask this audience, what exactly is it?
OK,
Half
what's
of them
it
would
about?
think, I don't have a sodding clue what it is.
Not a clue. Hopeless. You deserve to have it taken away.
Stealing money from the poor.
Correct. And giving to the rich. A sort of Robin Hood in reverse.
Robbing the country.
Very good.
Do you ever get the feeling the cameras are pointing the wrong way? You get that feeling?
the way the guy who came out in defence of the poor was quite a camp actor. He was sort of a camp upper. They're stealing from the poor.
Some members of the audience do treat the show as an audition. You may have heard me on the audience. I have a good news for you. Domestos, the finest you can buy.
And why has he done it now, darling?
I don't know what that bloke up there. Why has he done it now, darling?
Yes.
Why has he done it now, darling?
No, why has he done it now, darling?
It doesn't make it any better. In fact, it makes it even more alluring, perhaps.
What's sort of come out of it for Brown is people have finally said, he looks a bit sort of awkward and weird. And that's going to damage him. They should definitely tell him to stop smiling. He looks like he's trying to shit a sea urchin. An autistic clown having a heart attack.
This is not stunt TV. It is a golden opportunity for the PM to become more popular than Alan Sugar. That's it, aim high. This
Half-hour operation, he can be back in the office by midday. Janice. You see what happened next week?
This is the week
I thought you were thinking about it.
No, I'm just waiting for you to shut up.
Well, I would say another word.
Feed it! Get those! Daar weten ze je nou!
Ah, that kind of hurt.
I love that those two guys thinking, now that guy's weird. I mean, we were just mind to carry on business having a lightsaber fight.
Paul and Frankie.
They say children are being tested too much, or specifically the tests, or teaching towards tests means that people aren't properly educated.
I hate to agree with the government, but they're absolutely right on this. They're too many exams. You don't fatten a pig by weighing it all the time.
And you don't seduce a cow by buying it chocolates. There's wisdom in these old country sayings.
That would have been a much more interesting piece of research.
Yeah, let's do that.
On Monday, all the children at Grange School each play one sport. They choose either hockey or rounders. There are 103 children altogether in the school, 53 of whom are girls. 27 girls choose hockey, 22 boys choose rounders. How many boys choose hockey?
28.
Yes.
My brain just goes funny as soon as you start reading that stuff. If it's 15 apples and a bunch of grapes, how many men does it take to run a bar from here to Newcastle? The answer's 16 inches. I've no idea what you're talking about.
Now, on the subject of poor exams, we've got some incorrect answers from exam papers that are now circulating. I don't know if you've seen any of these on the internet. Let's see one.
Yep.
Find X.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's
exactly where it is.
Exactly, it's not the wrong answer. That's thinking outside the triangle. Well,
exactly.
Here's another one. Yeah. Expand.
That's great. Now, this is a man who was caught driving a car with a child in the background. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt, but his beard was a seatbelt on. He was stopped by police. Was it in Australia?
It was.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. How did the motorist react when he was pulled over in the outback?
This is 5.8% volume, mate.
According to Constable Wayne Burnett, the man couldn't see what he'd done wrong. The policeman said, "I can't quite grasp the mentality. It would take too much effort."
what? That's a South African policeman doing in Australia.
They move around a lot these days. Move around a lot.
The Australian man denied that his life is ruled by his obsession with lager, though he does have 4 ex-wives and a foster child. That's comedy, isn't it?
Yeah,
That
it's
is
the first
comedy.
decent joke we had on Autocue for about 5 years. only kidding, Jed.
She says she didn't take her, I'm quoting directly now, her contraceptive equipment up to Balmoral.
That's an inflatable priest.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. No, you don't. No, you don't want to do that.
What did Princess Anne say when Cherie said, "Please, call me Cherie"?
She said, I'm not comfortable with that. It's not the way I've been brought up.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
You should be brought up not to call people by their real names.
That seems bizarre, doesn't it?
I have to call you Eric.
His view, apparently, according to Cherie, is never praise a woman, it will only spoil her.
Well, it's not certainly...
What on earth is that?
Has he just slapped her or something?
He's hypnotised her with an invisible budgie sitting on his finger.
What did Carol Kaplan say to Bill Clinton when they met at Chequers?
Take your hands off me.
Easily believable, but no cigar. You need to remember... Ian Charlie.
I'm tempted not to say it now.
Go on.
Shall I pretend I've just...
Yeah, the moment's gone.
Yeah.
That buzz, yeah.
I'll just... No.
Are you not?
Sorry, Charlie, you were going to say? That's all.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yes? You just reacted to the light, didn't you?
Pavlovian in my
Yes, it's Pavlovian.
You're worse than a moth.
That's a terrible insult to say to a woman. You are worse than a moth. Just flutter by the electric light and go your own sweet way. Moth woman.
What?
You've lost interest in this quiz winner quiz. What?
The Clintons say,
It's not
run
my
now,
accent,
save
it's my
yourself,
ears.
women. I cannot control the beast within.
Is it true that you're Gordon Brown's joke writer?
I did in the past write jokes for Gordon Brown, yes, yes.
Wow.
He used to go down the Tunnel Club in Greenwich, go, "Hello, my name's Gordon Brown, thank you, good night." It's quite, you know,
Was
he
he
can
good?
deliver a joke, yeah,
Yeah?
he rocks, yeah.
Can you
What was
remember?
the famous...
He
What was the
rocks.
famous... He
Yeah, he rocks.
He
You see him,
northern rocks.
he closes the store quite often.
She
yeah.
just said he northern rocks.
Yeah.
Well, best moment, I blew it.
That was great. You were like a really old couple, really sweet old couple. Did you hear what my wife just said?
You didn't hear
She
it.
said she wants some cabbage.
She almost told a joke.
Yeah, not bad for someone who sells scarves.
Does anyone know what he's been doing, keeping himself busy this week?
Dalai Lama. Llamas.
Llamas.
Yes, he's farming Dalai Lamas.
Hello magazine, and there's a bit of a fuss that the Queen appeared in the on the pages of Hello magazine, and they thought, well, is this really right that the royal family should be getting magazines to pay for their weddings? That's what it was about.
That was it. In fact, one of the MPs said that she's the Queen after all. She's not a footballer's wife, which sort of put this image into my head of Prince Philip in the Champions League final. Going, "Hello, what do you do? Oh, come goal." A lot of fuzzy wuzzes on the pitch, aren't there?
It's worse
Am I
than
allowed to play on my pony?
Well, she found out afterwards, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
When she bought it, when it was delivered through the door?
I seem to be on every page. What the hell is going on?
Also keen not to upstage the bride was Princess Beatrice. Here she is.
Butterflies. Yeah.
It's not her fault she was attacked.
I can't see who that is. I haven't got my glasses on.
I'm called Lee Mack.
Oh, hello, Lee. What's that thing next to you?
McGonagall also tried his hand at acting. Do you know what happened during his first performance as Macbeth? I love
Did
this
Duncan
story.
murder him?
Actually, during the final scene with Macduff, he refused to die. And instead, he kept fighting until the other actor gave up.
That's fair. That's fair.
Did you watch the final?
No. Yeah, I did, yeah, I did. I saw bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, and
I tend to watch it backwards. It's more exciting that way.
It always ends in 0-0.
It does. Yeah. But sometimes you don't believe it's going to end up there, but it does right at the very last moment.
Did you watch it, Ian?
Yeah, I was gutted. Yeah, I mean, terrible. You know, for all of them.
Did you actually see the slap?
No.
He used his finger to slap. We couldn't afford, apparently, the footage of the football match, but you'd be pleased to hear we have got an artistic impression. To be fair, I did actually ask for a drawing of a man slapping someone as opposed to holding him up and asking for his wallet. But,
Why did he hit him?
Because they're getting very upset about how long they were taking. No, there was a throw. You know when there's an injury and you kick it off and then you throw it back to the other side.
Yeah, of course.
It was all that.
Let me help you. You know in polo when the stick snaps.
You know what it's about. You used to hunt Methodists. Do you remember? It's like that. It's like that.
We couldn't afford footage of that either, Ian, but we've got an artistic impression of you hunting the Methodists. No, we haven't really. I like the way you are. I do like the fact you all leaned in there. Staying with the Daily Star, did you see the handy Russian phrases the paper gave to the Manchester United fans to use in Moscow?
Of course not. We don't read the Star. This is just a... Do you read the Star? Have you...
All right, did you look...
Getting very angry.
Anyone want to throw up because they're drunk?
Yeah.
Do you do that?
Yes.
In your spare time?
I come in the door and say, do you know who it is? I've been on a show with Paul Merton.
Ian actually does have an alter ego. He is a You are a superhero, aren't you? Mildly disgruntled man. Turns up. There's a donkey been sent to prison. This donkey ran riot and started kicking out and knocking over people's houses and things. And in Spain, I think it was. And they got hold of this donkey and they sent it to prison. It's actually now been sent into prison. Nobody's representing it. It's had no trial. It's just been imprisoned.
It's not in Spain, no. Spanish-speaking country.
Oh, Portugal.
Mexico.
That's Brazilian, isn't it? I learnt French the hard way from a Spaniard.
Does anyone know what he's in for?
Passing Doug checks. Couldn't get the signature right because of the hoof.
Impersonating a judge.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a violent crime. It's assault and battery.
Oh, really? Was there a football match?
No, the
Mexico Rangers in town.
Mexico Rangers?
You know, I'd really love it if that chant kicked off on the terraces. Are Mexico Rangers in town? No, we are.
You're fired. It's brutal, but it's how we do it.
What does less swearing and funnier mean? It's a good thing or a bad thing?
It's been the show's motto since programme 1. Usually ignored. He threw a hedgehog at a dartboard and scored 3,060. Surprised myself with that. That was quite good, isn't it?
I'll give you a hard time.
Why is that not in quotation marks?
Yeah.
What?
Why is it not in quotation marks? I'll give you a hard time, if that's what you said.
Gordon Brown angry, as John Humphries says in the quotation marks, I'll give you a hard time, close quotation marks.
Better.
Full stop.
Yeah.
OK, are you ready for your next one, question mark?
Certainly are.
OK.
Out Brown.
Could have
Rather offensive, isn't it?
I think a horse has actually just kicked him in the face.
Garry Kasparov, on the subject of protests, he faced an unusual protest recently when he was attacked by a flying penis. Do you want to see this?
Is that it? There was no story.
Is
that related to...
It's a protest.
I thought there was some kind of a structure to this show.
There was a protest.
We're talking about the fuel tax, and you've just gone... And meanwhile, Gary Kasparov's been attacked by a flying penis.
I said on the subject of protests.
Yeah. OK, that's very good.
Very good. Yeah. Would I see a picture of him sitting in his booth? There we are.
Are you sure he thought it was a booth?
Who else had to cancel a skydive this week?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Did you?
No.
Oh.
I can just imagine you skydiving, because I think, actually, you're quite a, you know, go-getting, kind of risk-taking sort of a chap.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So. I look beneath the surface, you see.
I don't need to go up there to have my blood boiling.
What other ambitious space flight took place this week?
Mars!
Yes. The Phoenix mission to Mars.
I just wanted to say that. Mars!
Who else is soon to be paying a little visit to space?
Little visit.
Little visit.
Little visit.
According to The Sun, a team of plumbers is being rushed to the International Space Station to mend a broken loo.
Yes, I've heard this.
Yeah.
You can't say I know when he's just giving you the answer.
I should have stuck up.
Can you do that?
You're on my team.
Good for you. Ian knows. He knows the answer.
Where did our entry come?
Joint last.
That's right.
Who did we come last with?
Oh.
Germany, yes.
As popular as them, eh?
Oh, dear.
President Clinton.
Is this all the same tune?
They all beat us. All of them.
I love Croatia putting on a very old bloke with a very old-fashioned telephone. Hey, modern country now.
I think it was a gramophone.
Was it really? You're quite right. Gosh, telephone, gramophone, it's all the same.
Is it really?
Students sitting their final year exams at Cambridge were asked to compare the lyrical poetry of Sir Walter Raleigh with a particular song by Amy
Walter Raleigh?
Yes, how you say
Is he the friend of William Shakespeare?
That's how you say it.
Amy Warehouse. Is it Raleigh or Riley? Can I just sort it out?
Raleigh.
I bet you're right, though.
Yeah, I think he's right.
I think it's right.
I think it's just a knobby thing, isn't it? It's like Chumley Marshbanks or... It's best...
What's a knobby thing like Chumley Marshbanks? Does it sound like some sort of condition you might have picked up in the Sahara?
Did you have a Raleigh bike when you were younger?
That's a rally.
And they have to call themselves now entertainers, which they so obviously are, because I've seen, you know, they're supposedly talking to the dead, and if the dead were actually there in the room, the dead would have a lot more to say than supposedly this sort of game of charades, where they go, I'm getting a B. Why, if you were dead and you were communicating through a psychic medium, you would go, I love you, there's life after death, I was murdered, you need to go, I've got a lottery ticket, it's a wedding ticket, I love my... You wouldn't just go, my name begins with P. So, it's quite obviously completely farcical. Why would you do that? See if they get me. They didn't get me. I hope they come back. They wouldn't do that.
This is Beth Willis, modelling a jumper she knitted herself. And this is Beth's husband, Brian. This jumper was also knitted by his wife. The wool for these jumpers came from their pets, Penny and Cara. The dogs are no longer alive.
What has Princess Diana got to do with all this?
They've not made a coat out of her, surely.
Oh, I've just remembered who she is. Is she the woman who married the Wall?
She is the woman
She's
who
the,
married
yeah,
the wall.
she's
Do you know which
married
wall
the
she
Berlin
married?
Wall.
Is exactly right.
But she's been cheating on it with a fence.
That's true.
She's cheated on a wall with a fence.
Yes.
And the answer to that is yes, she has.
When she first saw him on TV aged 7, She began collecting his pictures and saving up for visits.
Burning Wall, him.
On her 6th trip in 1979, they tied the knot before a handful of guests. And there's a wedding photograph. There it is.
Oh, my goodness.
Obviously...
Got no one from his side of the family.
They're on the other side. They were East German.
Obviously, Aja has a website where she tries to explain the normality of the relationship. I used to work in a pharmacy. My husband's job was to divide East and West Berlin. The latest twist in the story, Claire, you were absolutely right, according to the Daily Star. I married a wall, but now I'm cheating on it with a fence. And here she is with her new love, called Moritz, apparently. What's the medical term that defines her?
Being bonkers.
Is it a little bit funny?
It's called object sexuality. Women spend 10 years what?
Is it spend 10 years going on about Johnny Depp?
Is it
so
spend 10...
lovely.
I like him in Pirates. I thought it was very good in that. I really do.
And I leave you with news that in Bedfordshire, a fan waits impatiently for the next edition of Bill Oddie's Spring Watch. Maybe you should have a bit more of a cadence on the end there. So do
Bill Oddie's Spring Watch. A little wobble of the head. Yeah, that's it. Bill Oddie's Spring Watch. That's the thing to do.
A little bit of magic.
Do it
You do it beautifully, I might say. That is absolutely wonderful.
You should do it as a badger. Really think into the part.
That may be bad advice.
Hillary's campaigners are being told the party's over, but someone forgot to tell her.
Yeah, she thinks she's won. This is a victory parade.
Do you know how many vice presidents have subsequently made it to president?
2.
3. No.
85.
We're going to be here a long time if you do
If you know the answer, then we won't be.
No, I do know the answer.
Well, it's up to you how long we spend here, then.
Well, no, because if you're going to go 2, 3, 4, we have to wait till you get to 14, then I go, well done, Paul.
14.
14.
Really?
Al Gore was vice president, and then, of course, he went on to be a twat, but that's not...
Is that largely on his views on the environment, Jeremy?
I'm not entirely certain everyone here in this part of London's with me on that one, so we'll brush it off.
What are your views on the environment, Jeremy?
Not the same as everybody's here. Well, I mean, if he's right, I'm out of a job.
We're out of a planet.
Well, yes, but I'm out of a job.
No, this food conference was full of lunatics. Mugabe was allowed to turn up, and then the man from Iran, Ahmadinejad, he said that the reason there are food shortages is because the Zionists have got it all. The Jews, they've eaten it. I mean, these are world statesmen. They're allowed in the building rather than hustled out, saying, no, not today, thank you.
Then it had to be Rome, didn't it?
It did have to be, yeah, because that's where they were having a meeting.
That's the Gordon Brown sex line.
He's been phoning people up. He's been phoning various members of the population up. Cold calls, I think it's called. They phone him up and they've written a letter to number 10 down the street and he phones them up at 4:30 in the morning saying, "You bastard!" and puts the phone down. That's it.
Yeah, there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there. You've covered all that beautifully.
That's more or less it. That is more or less it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well done. So who's in favour of this?
They bought these Chinooks for use in the Middle East, and they only fly in Hertfordshire.
Why can't they get out of Hertfordshire?
I think conditions have to be absolutely perfect. So it's got to be sunny, no cloud level, no enemy.
Very Hertfordshire-ish.
Very Hertfordshire. And they only really work if Prince William is flying them to a stag night.
Why don't the Americans just give us the password?
Over the course of 13 years, you could have tried quite a few words, couldn't you? It's worth paying a bloke 80 quid a week just to be sitting there going, bum.
It's normally password, I find. It's right. I think the best one, the most accurate one, was Alistair Darling here.
Nick from Private Eye.
Was it really?
Yeah, we did that one.
Are you suggesting that the Daily Mail has taken an idea from Private Eye?
Yes. No, we did that lookalike. Are you saying we did one of you?
You did one of me.
And that bloke who
Got
does...
one, yeah.
It's quite good, wasn't it?
I took it as a great compliment.
This could get ugly.
They did me and Johnny Depp.
You are Johnny Depp, aren't you?
This is actually the news that the sales of oranges are falling because people are too busy to peel them.
You're confusing the words busy and lazy.
Busy?
They can't be bothered, they're too fat.
No, what's
Their arms don't reach round the orange. There's a new type of orange called the Easy Peeler.
Well, sort of.
Named after the head of the Metropolitan Police Force. No, it isn't.
Hey. Is that a joke from 1878, I hear? Oh, corn laws.
A peel gag. Yes, very topical in its day. I used it on the first series of this.
Think of your thumb as a crank-operated potato peeler. Do you know, I do that all the time, because I've got really weird thumbs. So
Oh, look at them. Oh, my God.
That's what peeling oranges does to you. You can't see this.
You'll be able to watch it on the telly
If you
tomorrow.
could.
They can't see us over there.
Yes, I can,
Oh,
dear.
Apparently it makes Irish stouts taste like chocolate milkshake.
Irish stout, is that any relation to Guinness?
Well, I'm just being careful.
The BBC's very against product placement.
So why are those Pringles on there?
Perhaps Jeremy will refer to it as one of Britain's most popular concave crisps.
You say concave.
I
but
say concave.
Later on, we'll be bringing that up again, Merton, and who knows what.
It's my specialist subject, things that are concave. I did it
Don't
at school.
say concave in a minute.
That's the first time I've ever been given a warning about saying the word concave. I quite like it as an experience.
Now, what shape is a Pringle?
Well, my previous utterances on the subject are a matter of public record.
It's a hyperbolic paraboloid. Concave. Ridiculous thing to say. And so, what was Frederick... No, sorry. The synthesis of single fatty acid 1.3... God, this word goes on forever.
Diglycerides.
How did you know that?
It's just reading.
Yeah. Your eyes still work, then.
Defence was not entirely convincing. He said that he was speaking in German because one of the young ladies was German and he felt it was only courteous to speak to her in her own language while he was spanking her.
I think, actually, apparently, he wasn't talking in German. He was talking in English, but with a German accent. It wasn't really was that. Do you know what they did to his hair? They paid them to do to his hair?
Yes, they checked it for lice.
Yeah.
Is he an ex-public school boy?
What are you trying to suggest?
Right, merely that somebody with those predilections may have picked it up in an early age with establishment where people are known to play spanking headlight games at an early age.
Can't argue that. So, anyone else annoyed with him?
Yeah,
his wife.
The sponsors aren't happy.
Yes, well, he doesn't
Sponsors
have
at the orgy, they got a lot of publicity.
So, these Pringles that you have here, very nice. Do you want to whip them off my buttocks? I've just remembered where I was last Friday.
Right. Yes,
Did you say Reich?
No, I said right. Having been caught in a tabloid sting with prostitutes and all his closest associates turning against him, he's now going to be replaced by a different guest chairman every week. What?
It's taken 6 years to get one of those gags in.
Here we go. Who is this?
Yes, it's what's her name?
What about...
It's been ages since I've seen her. She's behind that steering wheel.
Rather difficult for us to answer this question,
Yeah,
given
no,
that everybody sitting on this panel is overpaid by the BBC.
Speak for yourself, I work in news.
Yes. This is all rather embarrassing, isn't it? So... Look, does anyone see another card with a green label on it?
Yeah.
Those are green ones. Would you mind? I may have dropped... Oh, no, wait, there's one here.
It's got green there.
Sorry, mate, thanks.
Oh,
It's
you
okay, I found it. Yeah, sorry.
I've just got the answer. Hey, you got the answer. Is the answer king, yeah?
I am famously messy. Yes, well done.
Thank you.
I'll
Right,
get
that's
there.
that round done. Next.
No, we won't. Not when I unplug his buzzer. Right, here it is. Here's the... I've lost it again.
Is technology a strong thing with you?
Yes. There we go.
It's green. You're not interested.
Very good. And yes, while it's true that giving a talk in at the Hay on Wye Literary Festival last week, I foolishly joked about driving through a London tunnel at 186 miles an hour. Not something I'm proud of, attending a Welsh book fair. Although the really interesting bit of the story that wasn't reported is that the Bugatti Veyron, the car I was driving at the time, it has a W16 engine, which is made of 2 narrow-angle V8s, single crank, so that powers 4 camshafts. Collectors of expired tax discs can add to the dinner party... can add to dinner party conversations with lines like, what?
I'm on the sex offenders register. Could you pass the butter? You're not going to forget that conversation, are you?
No, the right answer is, would you like to see my expired tax disc collection?
That's how he got into trouble last time.
So the final scores are Ian and Kate have 5 and Paul and Ian have 5.
Oh,
Well done. I smudged my makeup about which one of these is Kate? Who is the other person?
His name's Gok1. And he's...
Got one? So you said that's his name?
Who is his name?
His name is Got One?
His? What do you mean, his? Who is it? Please tell me, I'm dying to know.
He is a television presenter of
You're
a
saying
program.
it as well, he. King hell, what's the BBC coming to, aren't you?
He's on Channel 4.